Morning.
Good morning. I'm just getting some things set up here. So
Robin needs the Zoom meeting number.
yeah, I just saw that here.
Morning.
Good. Okay, let's go back over here. There we go. Okay. And okay. There we go. Okay. Cut out a coffee a little early this morning so we can meet for class here. So a little earlier, excuse me. I'm going to do one other thing here.
I made it.
Hey.
Morning.
Good morning. I was trying to follow along and translate sentences with you from your lesson last week. I might have forgotten every vocabulary word I once knew. Maybe all of them.
Okay. It's okay.
But I bet once you start reviewing them, all of a sudden they'll all start coming back.
Yes, well, I really appreciate, actually, I went on to look at what you have online for notes and stuff. I appreciate this master list of all of the vocab for 2022. I mean, that's what it says. It's going to be very helpful.
Yeah, it's great. I like it. Very handy.
Yeah.
So I think that's all the vocab we did last year out of both the textbook and the workbook. So, yeah.
Thanks for typing that up.
Yeah.
What would be cooler is if I was a little more tech savvy and figured out how to put that in a database, which I've done that kind of stuff before doing word studies. And then you could put that on one of those apps that I recommended for
Study.
practicing vocabulary, like that one that I think it's the New Orleans Baptist Seminary. They have that really nice app.
So the thing about that New Orleans, it doesn't have all the words though.
That's right. But I think you can take that software. I think that's the one, and you can add your own lists. Maybe it's the other one.
Right. See, the thing is, when you add your list, you add words by the list they have per those categories. And they don't have those words in all the lists.
Okay. So it might be the other app that I have on here then. I can't remember what the other one was. Might be the Parsecrete. Maybe no, that's not it.
It'd be great if they can allow you to write it in, the word.
Right.
But you have to select it off a list and pull it back.
Well, I'll have to get online and see if I can find that, because I've already got that list, so it should be easy from that list to compile a database on that. So, in fact, I don't know that any of you will ever have that interest, but I've had word studies that are rather large, and I found out that taking Bible software, taking the vocabulary and the work off there and creating a database and then categorizing everything, that it's really interesting. You can just choose sort by this and sort by this, and all of a sudden you get these different things and you see these patterns of the way words are used, and you're like, wow. And I've kind of learned that because when you study linguistics a little bit, which I have studied about that much, that's kind of the way linguists actually help figure out meaning and such, as that they look at patterns of the way people use language. So anyway, so even though I'm not very tech savvy, I've done that a few times, and you might find it interesting sometime to try that on some word that you're interested in. So, okay, shall we dive in?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are on, and I pulled this. I want to just ignore that. Let's see. I want to share. What am I doing here? Where is it? There we go. Okay. So I can see you all, but so can you see this now? Does that come up on your?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm just doing that for other people so they know what sentences we're on. We're on number 6 here. So Joe, you want to take off and read that? Yeah. Go ahead.
Limseste kai tan dora kai tus oikus. And I have you plural, you all will receive both the gifts and the houses.
Okay.
Well, hey.
Good.
Is that what you got?
Yeah, that sounds
okay.
Good.
I got all those words.
Say again?
I said I got all those words.
Okay, that's good. How is Kai used in this sentence? As I said, it's a correlative conjunction, meaning both. Explain the significance of use. So it's meaning both and. So when it's used in the sentence, the first part is both, second part is and, I suppose, on the next clause.
Okay.
Okay, locate oikus. It's a part of speech is noun. The function in the sentence, as I said, it's the second object of the verb receive. Its case is accusative. Number is plural, gender masculine. Declension second, lexical form oikos.
Very good. Okay.
Do you want to, Robin, did you want to review any of the other ones in the past?
Oh, yeah.
The ones that you guys already did?
Yeah.
No, I just wrote down what you said.
Okay.
Doesn't mean it's right. In some parts I'm fumbling.
You both agreed, so I'm pretty sure they're right.
Okay.
Okay.
I know Tim will correct me if I'm wrong anyway. So.
If I'm not saying anything, it's either that I'm dumbfounded or I'm no. It's usually that I'm like, okay, you're good, that's good. So I'm trying to remember to say something positive when you get it right, just so you know that we're on the same page.
Okay. Did you want to try 7, Robin, or you want me to keep going?
I think you should keep going because.
You want to read it?
I can totally read the Greek. Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
That's a good one. We'll do it together.
Okay. So 7 says, Amen, amen, lego, humin, hati, erketai, hora, kai nun estin, hote, hoi necroi, akususin, tes, phones, excuse me, to huiu, to theu.
That was very good.
That was really good. Not bad. So the translation that I have on a rough would be truly, truly, I say to you that it will come an hour and or even now, it is when the dead ones will hear the voice of the Son of God. So translation, truly, truly, I say unto you, an hour or maybe perhaps a time will come. Even now is when the dead ones will hear the voice of the Son of God.
Very good. So what is the significance of the function of the voice erkatai?
It is defective or deponent middle voice.
Okay. And if you remember when we went over deponents last year, hopefully, that even though they consider that defective and they consider it active, then an hour comes. Probably the idea of a middle voice is it's actually, this is one of those that seems a little bit more deponent, like it actually is an active voice, but probably probably has the idea that it comes for its own intended purpose. And I'm thinking of a statement at the end of 1 Timothy 6, where Paul says that in its own time, its own appropriate time. So it's like a time has we think of time as inanimate, so it can't actually be doing something. But so I can see why they would have used a middle voice in there. Again, if you remember, my take, and I know not everybody would agree with this, my take a little bit on the deponent is that these things are middle voice because there is a personal interest involved. And even though an hour doesn't seem like it would have a personal interest, if you kind of understand God's plan, it's like God's plan happens in its time appropriately. And maybe another time when we have a little bit more time, I'll take you over to the passage over in 1 Timothy 6 and we can illustrate it from that. But okay, B, hora, is so definite that the article is not included in Greek. However, it is included in the translation in English. And when you said an hour, or what was the other way you said a time?
A time.
Yeah, which I don't have a problem with translating it in an indefinite sense. It is true we have nouns obviously that are so definite that we do add a definite article even though they don't have them in Greek because it makes more sense in English.
It makes sense in English, right?
Yeah, but this is one of those cases where I think we could say an hour is coming. A future time is coming. So I'm disagreeing a little bit with that conclusion. It may or may not be true. C is acoususin, predictive, imperative, or deliberate.
I put predictive.
Okay. And why is that important?
It is an obvious, simple, predictive future action. It's pretty obvious.
That's right. If it were imperative, it would be as though he's telling them it must come, you must come. See, that doesn't work because he's speaking of something in the third person rather than speaking in a second person. If you have a second person, that would be imperative. Imperative is never, sometimes you have an imperative with the first person, let us do something, but usually, and they're not deliberating. He's not asking, he's not posing a question or anything like that. So predictive is the only one that really works too. Just to be clear on the use of all three of those. Okay, thank you. Okay, Joe, why don't you?
Okay. Apostele, ha, huios, tu, anthropou, tous, angelus, autou. So he will send, this is rough, I always do rough first. He will send the Son of Man, the angels his. So the Son of Man will send out his angels.
Okay, I'm going to add a question in here. Just keep our minds fresh from where we've been. You translated it right, but why, even though the verb says he will send, and if you translated it in Greek order, it sounds like it's saying he would send the Son. Why did you put the Son first when you corrected the English?
Because it's, what's the word for that? And Greek sentences are not necessarily in order.
Greek is an inflected language.
Inflective language, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, so the inflection determines it's for nouns, inflection determines its what? We've got 8 of them in Greek, according to some
Case.
case. Okay. And what case is huios?
Nominative.
That's nominative, right?
Yeah. So nominative is always the
Subject.
normally the subject of a sentence unless it's a predicate nominative. So very good. I have to say that because we had a friend here at church many years ago. She's passed away since, but she bought an interlinear and she went to a Bible conference with some people that I'd listened to on the radio. I never met the people. And she's there, and this person had taught this thing. And she said, I went up to them and said, my Bible says this, but you taught this. And she goes, and that, of course, this person that was at the conference had a smattering knowledge of Greek, so it couldn't make heads or tails out of the question she was asking. But she was showing this to me, and I said, well, the problem with it is the word order in Greek was like this. And I said, in reality, that is the subject of a sentence. So it's just like this. So that's why it's just always good to review and remember that, because word order is used for emphasis in Greek, not for syntax. Okay, take it away with A.
Okay, what tense is apostole? And it's a future active indicative.
Okay.
On what do you base your answer? Well, when the verb stem ends in a double consonant, in this case, the lexical form of that word apostole is apostolo. So there's a double lambda. So one of those lambdas, or one of the constants, is dropped.
Very good.
What case is angelus in? It's an accusative plural. What is the significance of this case? Well, it's the object of the future action.
Okay. And remember, a lot of times your object answers the question what. And in this case, the Son of Man will send what? His angels. So,
His angel.
yeah, very good. Very good. Okay, Robin, number 9. You want to read that for us?
Ude ego tauta gnosemai ala hatheas.
Okay, in the rough translation, I have not even I, these, so near demonstrative, I will know, but the God. So I have not even I will know these, I put things there, but God, as ellipsis. In other words, God will know these things.
Very good. And I appreciated the fact when you did your corrected English translation that you said the things. Why would you say the things, these things?
Because it's better English, and it's it's a near demonstrative of things, or it, right?
Okay. What,
In a plural.
so what gender is tauta?
Neuter.
It's neuter. Okay. And without a context to tell you what tauta refers to, going with these things is appropriate. So.
And I can't believe I got that right. That's great.
No, you did. Yeah.
So not even I will know these things, but God.
Yeah.
Right.
And like you
That's
said,
an ellipsis.
so we would say, but God will know these things. Yeah.
So you don't need to put in the words, but God will know these things, because it's not in there in the Greek, but it's an ellipsis.
Yeah.
Words left purposely out with this, the meaning is already in the first part of the clause.
Right. And the more you become familiar with the Greek New Testament, the more you're going to find out that ellipsis is really common in Greek. I think maybe a little bit more so than we do in English. I use when I'm writing, I use Grammarly to check myself on stuff. And one of the things sometimes is when I write, and I don't write like this much anymore, but when I leave an ellipsis at the end of a sentence, because to me, there's kind of a punch and emphasis to it that Greek uses, you do that. And Grammarly is always saying, nah, that's not appropriate. You need to they think modern readers can't follow ellipses. I think that modern readers are smarter than given credit for, in my opinion. So, but okay.
Yes. Yeah. I was trying to find a reference to where I learned ellipsis and I couldn't find it. So I was thinking, I don't know where I learned that, but.
Well, I think that they actually, because I was looking for something, because they ask a question about that down here, don't they? Coming up.
I think they do. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not for sure. I thought that they did here, but anyway. Okay, so go ahead with A then.
Is ude a coordinating or subordinating conjunction? I put coordinating. Is ude, the use of ude in the sentence connective, emphatic, or correlative? And I put emphatic is like not even, right?
Right. Yeah, so my answer I just put down is the speaker is emphatically stating that they or he does not know not one thing. And that's, I don't remember, I came across that in a grammar a couple of years ago, but that person was saying sometimes for punch, it may not be great translation, but when you're talking to people about it, that ude at the beginning, it's kind of like saying, like you said, not even one. So there's kind of a punch to that. We just we learned to translate it none, which is fine, but there's a little bit more punch to that than than just translate it none. Okay, I'm sorry. B, go ahead.
Dissect and parse gnosomai. It's a part of speech is a verb, future tense, middle voice, indicative mood. Stem is gnos, first person, number singular, lexical form of gnosko, ending is my. Connecting vowels, omicron. I guess it could be, ending would be oh my. Subject as I, tense sign is the sigma.
So the only thing to check on here is when we went back to stem, excuse me, man, is when you go back to stem and you said gno and it's, and maybe I didn't hear. See, that's the whole thing with my ears. How would you have spelled that? How'd you spell the stem?
Oh,
that way.
Well, without the Y. So J, it's the G or the gamma, pneuma, omicron.
There you go. Okay. Very
Yeah,
good.
because you can't hear it. You got to say it really fast.
Yeah. So I couldn't hear if you were putting in a iota in there between the gamma and the noon or not. So because that's kind of the way when you learn gnosko, that's what you would presume that's the stem. But in this lesson, we learned that we have words that the stem actually goes back to something that looks a little different. So, which is why
it's hard to pick up when you're hearing them. Maybe they say it so fast, or maybe in the context, or in the question, or in the context, you'll know that it was a future.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you hear it if you hear somebody read it, you're going to hear the tense sign. You're going to hear the sigma in there.
Right.
It's also going to help you. So.
Right.
Okay. What verb is theos the subject of?
Gnosomai.
Okay. Oh, here's where that thing you were talking about, the ellipsis. This is
right.
I knew.
Where does this verb come from? Gnosko. Why does this phenomenon occur? And I put the ellipsis.
Okay. I think when they're asking that second question, where does this verb come from? I don't think they're asking what its stem or root is. I think they're asking, it is supplied from the first clause.
First clause, right? Okay.
Supplied from the first clause. Right. And so then ellipsis means it is an implied verb. It's implied from the first.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
First clause, yeah.
From first clause.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which you already kind of addressed that, but just trying to answer or clarify, I think, what they're asking with the second question. Okay. Are we ready to move on?
Mhm.
And I am trying to keep track of the time here. So, okay, number 10.
Himerai, I kakai, Eliusantai. The days, the evil, they will come. So the evil days will come.
Okay. And I'm listening to my Greek professor when I was in school a long time ago, and he would have, the rough translation, he would have said the days, the evil ones. That's the way he always would have done it. Always adding a pronoun in there with the adjective. The days, the evil ones, they will come. And then when you clarify, you drop that out. The evil days
Right.
will come. So that was right. So just trying to help you think through how all of it goes.
It's like dead ones. Just like dead ones, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Is the article essential in determining attributive or predicate use of the adjective kakai?
I put yes. And the reason on whether, if not, how would you know whether adjective is attributed or predicate use? I put the article preceding the adjective kakai indicates it is used attributively.
Yes.
That's why I said it is essential.
And we learned what's one of the other ways that Greek uses to tell you that adjective is attributive. What's the other way of writing this?
We could have put it after. You still have. Let me think if I got this right. It would be. You could put they still have to have an article, right? So it could be. You could do. Isn't it both having an article also in front of the? It could have been. I guess it could have been I. Kakai.
Hemorrhage.
MRI, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the other.
Dropping one of those. Right?
It's the other normal way of
Right.
expressing attributive, putting it in an attributive position. Okay. If not, then the other question I think is, if not, how can you know whether an adjective is in attributive or predicate use? What is the other? So clarifying that question.
Well, it wouldn't be in the predicate use.
Okay.
It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah. Because if you drop the definite article, remember oftentimes if you have a noun in the predicate position,
It would have said the days are evil instead.
right? And so you do not normally have a definite article with it. Okay, good. And maybe you did that, and my mind was caught up in that question, and I didn't hear you say that part of it. Okay, so B, dissect and parse Lusantai.
Okay, part of speech is a verb, tense future, voice middle, mood indicative, stem, elu, third person, numbers plural, lexical form is hemera. Oh, I'm doing the wrong one. No, that's right.
No, that's not right.
Oh, wait, did I do? That is, I'm thinking of a different question. That's I know that comes from a different verb that looks differently.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it erkomai?
It's very good. Yes.
Yeah. Whew, save that one. Okay. Ending on tie. Connecting vowel is omicron. Subject is subject would be amari.
Yes.
And the tense sign is a sigma.
Okay. Very good. Okay. 11. Robin, if you want to.
Autas gar sosai tan laon autu apoton hamartion auton.
Okay.
Autas gar sosai.
Okay, so he, rough translation, for he will save the people his from the sins there. So for he will save his people from their sins.
Okay. I like those that they take out of passages of scripture because it kind of gives you the ability to go and check when you're looking at it, just to gives you the ability to go and check how it's translated just to see if it matches. Okay, so A is sosai. Is that present or future tense?
It's future.
Okay. And they want to know why. On what do you base
Why?
it?
Because so the verse then ends in a sibilant consonant. Therefore, the sibilant consonant, the second, the zeta, is dropped before the sigma sign of the future.
Okay. So we don't have a double sibilant. We're not stuttering
Right.
there. Sosai, which would be very interesting to try to say and decipher what a person's saying. Okay. B, what is the antecedent of autu?
So it's laon, the people, and of our tone, it's amartion, sins.
Okay. Okay, so the what is an antecedent, first of all? And then we'll go back and
It's what defines the pronoun.
okay. So you said autu. How did you translate autu back there in the sentence?
For he will save his people. I put his.
Okay. So then what is the antecedent of autu?
It's the people, right?
So are his and people the same?
For he will save his people. So people are, I guess it would be he.
That's right. So
I'm
we'll
sorry.
go
The
back.
he. Right.
Yeah, go back to autas.
Right.
And if you know that verse in the context,
So it's he.
talking about Jesus, you should call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins. Okay.
Right, correct.
But you don't know that, so he is
No.
the correct answer, unless
Okay.
you go back and read the verse. Okay, so
Okay,
now
that's right.
so now then the second one, when it says, then what is the antecedent of auton?
Them.
Them, right?
Them. Well, actually, there we have a noun. We have a noun in
people.
it's the people. It goes back to laos. That's right.
Okay.
Or ton leon in this case. Okay. So now they asked the last question. What rule does auton violate with respect to its antecedent? When you have a pronoun, what does it have to do?
Same ending.
Yeah, because it has to match normally gender and number. Okay. It may be a different case. In this case, auton is what case?
Ablative?
I don't think it's ablative in this case.
No?
I think
Genitive.
it is because it's theirs. It's not sins from them, it's their sins. So in this
Oh,
case,
that's right.
it's possessive, or at the very least objective. So, okay, so it's in that case, whereas people, leon is what case?
That's accusative.
That's accusative. So, and what number is that? I should have asked that without tone.
It's singular,
It's singular, but autotone is what number?
plural.
Plural. So we can have it in different cases, but we've got one that's singular and one that's plural. This is the big problem that they're trying to point out. So that's the rule that's violating. It's not matching number. Gender, it could be matching that because you can put it in autotone works with all three genders here.
But it works here because laos is a singular word for a plural object.
That's right. Exactly. The fancy term that we use, it is a collective singular.
A collective singular.
I don't know that they tell you that in the book. I don't remember looking back at that, but that's the.
No.
So. We do have, I think the New Testament does have places where people occurs in the plural, but that's when it's like looking at different people groups. Whereas here it's just one group of people, his people. So not his peoples. And I'm thinking that's over in Revelation where it's and I might be wrong on that. It's been a while since I've looked at that. So, okay. That all makes sense then? The last question.
Yeah, it does now.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of struggled with that when I was doing that. So, because of all those personal pronouns could get tricky.
Okay. I don't remember whose turn it is to read 12.
I think it's Joe's turn.
It's my turn? Okay. Oe mathetai akususin taste to kuriu auton bones kai aksuksin ta tekna pros aton. So the disciples, rough again, the disciples, they will hear of the Lord, their voice, and they will lead the children to him.
Okay.
So the disciples will hear the voice of their Lord, and they will lead the children to him.
Okay, very good. So what is the object of akususin?
It's the disciples. Oh, the object will hear the voice.
Okay.
So voice is the object, right?
That's right. Okay. What is the case? And they tell that in here. What is the case of phones?
Genitive, singular.
It is. Okay, so why is it that we have a genitive that is the object of akuo?
Because kurio is the genitive describing phones.
Oh, what curio is, but the question is, why is the object, which is phones, why is the object, what is a normal case that you find an object for?
Accusative.
Accusative. And here the object is genitive. So why is the object of the verb in the genitive case?
That's why I said, maybe to match curio, which is in the genitive case.
No, if
I don't
you,
know.
if you went,
Do-
if you go back to
Not sure.
lesson 11.6, like they say there, and you check this, akuo is one of a group of verbs that can take its object in the genitive
Oh,
case.
right.
It can take it in the accusative, but also in the genitive case. And there's other verbs that do this also, and they list some of them in there. So you're just going to have to get used to the fact that akuo, I hear, sometimes it's gonna be one of those oddballs. And I'm sure at the time when Greek was going, there was a kind of a logical reason why they understood it in this way, or why they thought it could be this way, but it just seems very different to us. So do you want to go back and review that 11.6? I'm trying to find 11.6. There's, oh, way too beyond. 11.6, it says some verbs take their objects in a case other than the accusative. And so representative of this groups are akuo, apokrinomi, which is I reply to, arco, I begin or rule, and pistuo, I believe. In fact, you're going to have a number of places where even the noun for faith, I believe, the noun pistis, takes its object also in the genitive case. I had a pastor that I sat under for a while after I'd finished seminary, and over in Galatians, you have several places where it says faith, the faith of Christ. The English Bible wasn't very clear. It was kind of nebulous. It just said the faith of Christ. And he kept taking that it was Christ's faith. And I went up to him after church one Sunday and I said, that's an objective genitive. Christ is the object of faith there. And he goes, I've never heard of an objective genitive. And I said, well, go back and pull out your Greek grammar and take a look at it. I said, you'll see that. And
So specifically on this question, then, when it says the rule that some verbs take their object in a case other than accusative, then would that case always be generative then?
well, if you read in there, it says it can take it in the accusative or the genitive, but the genitive you're going to find the genitive is more common for these verbs.
Okay. Right. So what I'm trying to say is, if it's not accusative, then it must be in genitive.
Yes.
Right. That's what
going to be the object of the verb. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And again, that's one of those things that you kind of have to just learn, you know. And you and I know that because we've got expressions in English that if you say it to somebody that speaks Spanish, it doesn't make sense. We've got this really nice guy that's in the Mexican church here at the meet here in the afternoon, Alberto, and he came up and he was asking me something what I'd been doing, and I went on and I said da, 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 and I was trying to speak clearly, and he's just kind of nodding his head, and I said, you didn't understand what I said. And he goes, no. Because I used some expressions and I realized that as soon as I was getting done. So I went back and tried to think of ways, and then I said, does that make sense? Yes. So there's things we take for granted that an English speaker gets, the way we use certain conventions of language, that if you're new to that language like this, you're going to go, I thought verbs took their objects in the accusative case. You're just going to find out for some reason they have these oddball cases like this. I shouldn't call them oddball cases, but they're just different than the way we learn it. Okay, so phonase is so definite that the article is not included in Greek. However, it is included in the translation. So it's not that they will hear and I had a problem with this. I was wondering about this because it actually says you do have the definite article in there. It says the disciples, they will hear the of the Lord their's voice. And so I'm not exactly for sure. I had a question on why.
Right, because when I read that at 30.5, it just said the opposite of that.
Yeah. So I'm not exactly for sure why why that note was included, but okay, explain the origin and significance of psi in aksusin in this case.
Okay, so I put the present tense verb stem ending of ago is a palatal mute consonant. Therefore, ago becomes axo in the future tense.
Okay.
With
So psi is kind of what you're getting when you're combining the gamma and the sigma. It smooths out into just a single letter psi. That's kind of, so excellent answer. Excellent answer. Okay. Last one for today, number 13. We're not superstitious. We can end on a 13. Okay.
I'll
Rob,
read it.
please.
Ekainas eme doxasai hati ektu emu. Oh my goodness. Lempsetai kai anangelai humin.
Pretty good.
Anangelai.
Okay, good job. Rough.
You want to try? You want to try any of those words first of all?
Me?
Well, no. I wanted to see if Robin wanted to try to
Oh
translate.
yeah, go ahead, Robin.
No, I'm okay. I'm really all right.
Okay. Go ahead then, Joe.
So I'll be the only fool today. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I'll catch up.
I'll take that. I got the cone on. Okay, that one, me, he will glorify for out from read my own writing. Out from none he will take or receive, and he will proclaim to you. So he will glorify me, for he will take from, okay, that's what I wrote. Take from mine, because it's out from me. He will take from mine, and he will proclaim it, or proclaim to you. Proclaim it to you. So he will glorify me, for he will take from mine, or what is mine, or me, and he will proclaim it to you.
Okay. Go. Give me your clean translation again for the
Okay, he will glorify me, for he will take from mine.
Okay.
And he will proclaim it to you.
Okay. So you are what word are you translating for? For he will.
Hati.
Okay. I figured that's the word you were translating, and for is fine. For is fine. I'm kind of stuck with, I translate that because of so often, but for and because are really talking about the same thing. So just being clear.
Okay.
Because hati can also be translated that in some situations, but obviously this is explaining. So for and because are both explanatory. Okay. That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Or
So
it could be that, or because of.
Yeah.
Because.
Or simply just because. So I would have said that one will glorify me because he will take from my things, which we're supplying a word there, and he will announce it or them to you. And I did appreciate the fact that you were supplying a word that kind of seems logically to have to be there, of the pronoun it or them, taking the things of me or whatever it is, even though we don't have that specifically. But obviously, if he's taking something, announcing, there has to be, what is he announcing? He has to be announcing something. So you're supplying. Okay.
And when I read through this, it was that one, or he was talking about the Holy Spirit.
That's right. And who is mine then, or me?
Jesus.
That's Jesus speak, right?
That's right.
Because the next one following it is that scripture talks about everything that is the Father's is also mine.
Right.
That follows that on 16:15.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so A, in what use is akainos in conjunction with the phrase akainos emi doxai?
Akainos in this phrase is used as a substantive and therefore stands alone.
Okay.
That one.
And for people that don't understand language, what's another way you could refer to a substantive? What are our parts of speech?
A noun.
It's a noun. Okay.
Noun.
It's a noun. When in reality, a kainos is not a noun, it's a
Verb.
no.
No, it's a far demonstrative pronoun.
Pronoun. There it is. It's a pronoun. Yeah. So it's nouns and pronouns, but it's a pronoun functioning as a noun. Very good. But substantive is right. You're right on that. I just had written that above there just for clarification, because if you're talking to, if you're teaching a Bible study or something and you say, oh, this is a substantive, people are going to go, what? Because a lot of people don't know what that means. But if you say, hey, this is like a noun, and you don't usually have to point that out in a Bible study, but there you might find yourself in a place where it's necessary to clarify something. So just helping you think how sometimes we explain things. So what is the significance of its use then? So you have it right.
It stands alone. It can stand alone as the subject in this case, right?
That's right. That's right. I just want to make sure that I heard that. B here, again, says the definite article to is used as a relative pronoun in this sentence and is translated that. A relative pronoun would be that or which. I don't know exactly why they say this. I actually looked at English translations and I don't see any that are doing that in this case. Because that's not the way I would handle it at all. I would say exactly the way you did it. That one will glorify me, because out of the things of me or my things, I'm not exactly for sure why he translates it that, or relative pronoun. Anyway. And then they said, how can you be sure? And they don't actually have a question mark on this one. This is interesting. How can you be sure of the case of to? So what is the case of to and emu?
It's ablative, singular.
Yeah.
And I don't think the easy way was because of the preposition ek preceding them.
Right. And for interesting clarification, and maybe this makes perfect sense to you without me saying anything, a lot of times when you have an ablative like this, of my things or from my things, a lot of times in Greek, that means that we would translate that sometimes for clarity. We would say he will take some of my things, or he will take from my things. It doesn't say he's going to take all my things. He's going to take some of my things. In other words, the Spirit hasn't declared everything there is about Christ, but he's taken the things that we need to know. And a good example that you have is we've got places like, and I'm thinking like in Revelation chapter 2, it says, and Satan will take, and we have some of you, but it doesn't read that way in the Greek. It's of you. It's just of you. But he's not going to take all of you and throw you into prison. He's going to take some out of your group. That's why you have the genitive. Otherwise, it would just be an accusative. He's going to take you, throw you into prison. So when you're using this, you're looking at that he's taking like a sum of that material. Does that make sense? Taking from that? So.
Well, that makes sense, because there's still mysteries in the future that we don't know of.
That's right. There's going to be more about Christ to learn. Okay, number C. What is the subject of lampsitai and angelai?
So I put emu.
Okay. So, and what is emu?
That's me, or my, or in this case, I put mine.
Okay. And why did you translate it mine?
Just sounded better because taking from me, I'm taking from the things of me. So it's whatever's mine, you know.
What case is imu?
Imu is ablative.
Okay. And so let's go down to the question. What is the subject? Does the ablative function as subject of a sentence?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'll do that again.
What does function as the subject of a sentence?
Accusative.
No, what case?
Nominative.
Oh, the subject, nominative, right.
Nominative. So do we have a nominative?
So I guess it would be he,
Okay.
Ikinos, right? That
Kind-
one.
That's right. That one. Very good.
Oh, gosh, why do I get these mixed up? It's crazy. Ikinos.
Okay. So that makes, so we understand, that makes sense. A kainos is nominative and its function is and in the context, that's the spirit, which I think you already pointed that out. So that's the one. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions here? We'll stop here and we'll come back and pick up at 14 next week then.
So many other questions, but nothing that we're going to be able.
Oh, I wrote down here, purposely make this wrong so that we can get better clarification so everybody will understand. No, I didn't write that. But it's good.
I used to have a friend that he's spoken here at our church a couple of times when he's written papers, and he was an English major in college, but he'd write a paper and he says, you're going to find some typos in my paper, some grammatical mistakes I made. And he says, I put those in there on purpose to help you pay attention. And obviously he was joking about that, but I always thought that was funny. So, okay, I'm going to stop this.